Aaron sat in the quiet cabin of his small research ship. The stars stretched outside the window like a sea of silver fire, endless and silent. Most explorers kept to the mapped routes where stations and known worlds gave safety, but Aaron was not like most explorers. He had always carried a hunger to see places no one else dared to see. He had heard the name Vera many times before. Pilots spoke of it in hushed tones, traders passed the word like a secret, and maps marked the world with a single warning: forbidden. No reason was written in the records. No story was complete. Some said ships that landed never returned. Others said the world itself refused visitors. Yet no evidence was ever found. To Aaron, that mystery was not a warning. It was an invitation. He tapped the control panel and pulled up the old star charts. The planet lay far from the common routes, alone near a dim star. No reports, no stations, nothing but silence. Every place has a truth, he said softly to himself. And I want to find it. The journey took days. The closer he came, the stranger the readings became. First his sensors showed drifting numbers that made no sense. Distances flickered on the screen, sometimes shrinking, sometimes stretching. The ship's clock seemed to run faster at times, then slower. He reset the system more than once, yet nothing changed. At last, the pale outline of Vera appeared ahead. From a distance, the planet looked calm, its surface glowing with gentle shades of blue and green. It was not the dark and broken world he had imagined from the rumors. Instead, it looked alive, almost welcoming. But as soon as his ship entered orbit, the instruments failed completely. Screens went blank, controls stopped answering, and even the hum of the engines faded into silence. Aaron sat still, holding the edges of his chair, waiting to see if his ship would break apart. It did not. Instead, the ship floated steady, untouched, as if an unseen hand held it in place. Aaron took a deep breath. So this is why they call it forbidden, he whispered. With the controls frozen, he could not leave even if he wished. The only choice was forward. He looked at the landing pod, small but strong enough to carry him to the surface. He packed light, a field scanner, a recorder, a small pack of supplies. He paused before stepping inside the pod, thinking of all the explorers who may have come here before and never returned. Maybe they feared the unknown, he said, but fear is not the way to learn. The pod separated from the ship with a soft shudder. Gravity pulled it down through the misty clouds. For a moment, all he could see was brightness. Then the surface opened before him. Vera was like no world he had ever seen. Forests of crystal trees rose high into the sky, each branch glowing faintly with inner light. The ground shone with soft colors that shifted as though the soil was alive. Floating islands drifted above the forests, turning slowly in the air as if carried by invisible tides. A wide river of silver light ran across the land, winding like a ribbon. Aaron stepped out of the pod and placed his boots on the ground. The air touched his face with warmth. He tested a breath and found it clean, though heavier than normal, as if filled with some hidden weight. For a long moment he stood still, listening. No sound of birds, no rustle of animals, only a low hum that seemed to come from the land itself. It was not empty, but watchful, as if the world noticed his presence. He bent down and touched the soil. It glowed gently under his fingers, spreading light like ripples across a pond. His heart quickened. This place was not silent. It was alive. Aaron walked toward a cluster of tall stone pillars standing between the crystal trees. They were old, covered with markings carved deep into their surface. The symbols were not like any language he knew. Some curled like flowing water, others rose sharp like mountains. He reached for his scanner, but the device gave only a faint pulse before turning dark. He sighed. Technology had no meaning here. Only his eyes and his mind could guide him. As he studied the pillars, he felt a strange pressure in the air, like a thought pressing against his own. He looked around, but no one was there. Yet the feeling did not fade. The ground shifted gently beneath his feet, as though the planet itself had taken a breath. A whisper touched his mind, not in words but in sensation, a question, a test. Aaron straightened his back. He was only one human on a vast, unknown world, yet he did not feel small. He felt as if he had stepped into the center of a mystery that waited only for him. The legends had been true. Vero was forbidden, but not because it destroyed visitors. It was forbidden because it chose who could remain. And now, for the first time, a human had set foot upon it. Aaron stood among the crystal trees, his eyes wide with wonder. The world of Vero stretched around him like a dream made real. The colors shifted as he walked, the air shimmered with a quiet glow, and every step he took seemed to stir hidden patterns in the ground. He had traveled to many strange planets before, but none felt like this one. Other worlds had forests, oceans, mountains, or skies filled with storms, yet Vero was something else. It felt both new and impossibly old, as if time itself moved differently here. The air pressed against him like a weight, though it did not hurt. It carried a thickness, as if he was walking inside a memory. Every breath filled his chest not only with air but with a strange awareness, as though he could sense things that were not in front of him. He paused near one of the glowing trees. Its trunk was smooth like glass, and when he touched it with his hand, light flowed gently from the tree into his skin. A soft warmth ran up his arm, not dangerous, but curious. It was as if the tree wanted to know him. Aaron pulled back slowly, whispering, "You are alive, aren't you?" The tree gave no answer, yet the warmth lingered in his hand. He moved on, stepping deeper into the glowing forest. The silence around him was unusual. Most forests he had known were alive with sound, but here there were no calls, no rustles, no footsteps except his own. Still, he never felt alone. Something unseen followed him, not with malice, but with attention. Ahead, the ground rose toward a ridge. Aaron climbed carefully, his boots pressing into soil that shifted colors under his steps, soft greens fading into blues, then into pale gold. At the top of the ridge, the view opened wide. He saw floating islands drifting in the sky like gentle ships. Some were small, carrying single trees upon them, while others were large enough to hold lakes and forests. They turned slowly in the air, following paths unseen. Sunlight touched them, and their shadows rolled across the land below. The sight took his breath. He had read of planets with unusual gravity, but this was beyond science. This felt more like art, as if the world itself painted the sky. Aaron sat on the ridge for a moment, trying to take it in. He had left his home to search for the unknown, and now he was here, staring at a world that should not exist. As he rested, his eyes caught something at the edge of the forest below. Tall stone pillars stood in a half circle, their surfaces marked with the same strange symbols he had seen before. From this height, he noticed something new. The pillars formed a pattern, almost like the spokes of a wheel pointing inward. Curiosity urged him forward. He climbed down and walked toward them. The closer he came, the heavier the air felt. Each step seemed to push against him, as if the ground wanted to slow his pace. When he reached the pillars, he placed his hand on one. The stone was warm to the touch. The carvings glowed faintly, lines of light moving across them like rivers. Aaron studied the symbols, tracing them with his fingers. He had no way to read them, yet he felt a meaning behind them. Not words exactly, but impressions, movement, cycles, harmony. It was as if the carvings told a story in a language older than any voice. He pulled out his recorder to capture the sight, but the device flickered and went dark, just as the scanner had done before. Technology could not survive here. He sighed and placed it back into his pack. Standing between the pillars, he felt the same pressure as before, a thought pressing against his mind. This time it was stronger, clearer. It was not sound, not image, but a sense. A question, or perhaps a test. Aaron spoke aloud, though he did not know if anyone listened. I have come to understand, not to take. Show me what you wish me to see. For a moment, nothing changed. Then the ground under the pillars gave a soft vibration. The soil glowed brighter, and light rose into the air, weaving between the stones like flowing threads. Aaron stepped back, his heart racing. He had no fear, only wonder. The air filled with brightness, and within it he thought he saw shapes, moving outlines of beings made of light, shifting gently like ripples in water. They did not walk, they floated, forming patterns that circled him. He held his breath. He had found life here, but not in the way he expected. These were not animals, not humans, not anything he knew. They were something entirely different. The shapes moved around him, not hostile, not welcoming, only watching. He felt their gaze though they had no eyes. He felt their silence though they had no mouths. And then, through the hum of the air, he sensed their thought, "Why are you here?" Aaron placed a hand on his chest. "To learn," he whispered. The light forms paused, then continued their circling. The question remained in the air, heavy and unspoken, but now mixed with another feeling, a sense of curiosity. Aaron knew in that moment that his journey had only begun. The light forms circled Aaron with a slow, flowing grace. They shifted in shape, sometimes long like streams, sometimes round like spheres, glowing with colors that shimmered and changed like moving water. They had no fixed bodies, yet they carried a presence so strong that Aaron felt as if the entire air belonged to them. He stood still, letting them move around him. The weight in the air pressed gently against his skin and mind, not painful but heavy, like being wrapped inside a question he could not yet answer. The thought came again, clearer this time. It did not use words, yet Aaron felt it as if it had been spoken inside him. "Why have you come?" Aaron placed his hand on his chest and spoke aloud, his voice calm. "I came to see what others could not. I came to understand." The light forms shifted, and a wave of warmth spread through the circle. Aaron realized they were not only speaking but also feeling. Their questions came with emotions, curiosity, watchfulness, even a touch of caution. They were not simply asking, they were measuring his heart. Another thought touched him. "All who come here vanish. Why do you think you will remain?" Aaron took a deep breath. The ground under him glowed faintly with each breath he took, as though the planet itself listened. He answered slowly. "I do not think of staying or leaving. I only think of learning. If I am meant to go, I will go. If I am meant to stay, I will stay." For a long moment, the light forms floated in silence. Then one of them moved closer, hovering before him. Its glow was softer than the others, shifting between pale gold and gentle blue. A wave of emotion brushed against Aaron's mind, puzzlement mixed with interest. The thought returned, "You are not like the others." Aaron tilted his head. "Others came before me." A rush of visions filled his mind. He saw ships breaking through the clouds of Vera. He saw figures stepping onto the glowing soil. He saw them reaching out with machines and devices, trying to take what was not theirs. Then he saw the visions fade into silence. The explorers did not return. The world closed around them like a dream ending, and they were gone. The vision ended, leaving only the circle of light forms. Aaron closed his eyes for a moment, then opened them. "I do not want to take. I only want to see and to know." The air hummed, and the circle widened. More shapes appeared, drifting out of the glowing forest, until a ring of shining forms filled the clearing. The light grew brighter, painting the stones and trees with patterns that moved like waves. Then came another thought, heavier than before. "We are the wardens. We keep what must not be lost. You walk where none should walk. You breathe what none should breathe. Yet you remain." Aaron bowed his head slightly, not in fear but in respect. If I remain, it is because your world allows me. The wardens shimmered, their forms bending like ribbons in a breeze. A wave of mixed emotions touched Aaron: surprise, confusion, and something close to curiosity. The softer golden blue figure drifted near him again. The thought that followed was slower, careful. Why do you not fear us? Aaron looked up at the light. Because fear is a wall. If I build it, I will never see past it. I want to see who you are, not what I fear. The words hung in the glowing air. For a time, nothing moved. Then the circle loosened, the lights flowing higher as though lifted by an unseen wind. The air grew lighter, and the weight on Aaron's chest softened. The wardens did not leave, but they no longer pressed against him with the same force. They watched, yes, but their watchfulness had changed. Aaron felt their thoughts once more, this time like a calm stream. You endure. You are still. You listen. Perhaps you may see what others could not. Aaron placed his hand again on one of the stone pillars. Its carvings glowed brighter than before, and for the first time, he felt them open not as words, but as living meaning. He saw flowing cycles of growth, memory carried in roots and stone, harmony woven into air and water. The wardens drifted upward, their lights fading slowly into the forest until only a soft glow remained around the pillars. Yet their presence stayed in Aaron's mind, gentle but near, as though they had not left but simply stepped back. Aaron stood alone once more, but the silence was not empty now. He had met the wardens of Vera, and they had not cast him away. They had measured him and found something they did not expect. He looked around the glowing forest, his heart steady. The path ahead was hidden, but he knew it would appear. Vera had chosen to let him walk further, and that meant its true secret still waited. Aaron walked slowly between the crystal trees, his steps guided by the soft glow on the ground. The wardens no longer pressed on his mind, yet he felt their presence watching from the edges of the forest. The silence carried a weight of expectation, as if they were waiting to see what he would do next. The pillars faded behind him, and soon the land opened into a wide plain where the soil shimmered like glass. Strange ridges stretched across the ground, glowing faintly with lines of light that looked like veins running through stone. The sky above was filled with drifting islands, their shadows moving across the plain like sails on a sea. Aaron stopped and knelt to study the glowing ridges. When he placed his hand on one, warmth spread into his skin. In that moment, an image rose in his mind: vast cities of shining towers, bridges spanning across skies, and voices filled with harmony. He blinked, and the vision faded. He stood quickly, his heart racing. These were not just natural lights. They were memories, carved into the very land. The air stirred, and the soft golden blue figure appeared again, drifting out of the forest. It hovered before him, brighter than before, its glow touching the ground with ripples of light. A thought entered his mind: you begin to see. Aaron spoke softly, this world holds memories. The warden's light flickered, a gentle pulse that felt like agreement. Then another thought followed: long ago, Vera was not silent. It was home to a great people who built wonders across the stars. They carried knowledge like rivers, flowing and endless. As the thought filled his mind, the glowing ridges brightened. More visions came: ships made of crystal and light soaring through galaxies, voices speaking across distances without machines, entire worlds connected in harmony. Then the vision darkened. Aaron saw a collapse, not of war, but of silence. Cities emptied, lights faded, and the great people vanished like shadows in the wind. Only their memory remained, carried by the world itself. The warden's thought returned, softer this time: we remain, not as rulers, but as keepers. We guard the core where their knowledge rests. Aaron placed a hand on the glowing soil. Others came searching for it, he said slowly. That is why they vanished. A wave of emotion touched him: from the warden's sadness, caution, remembrance. They came with hunger. They reached with hands that take. The cord does not open for such. It consumes what cannot carry it. Aaron frowned gently. And yet I remain. The light pulsed again. Because you listen. Because you do not reach only for yourself. Aaron looked around at the glowing plain, his thoughts heavy with wonder. The world was not forbidden because it destroyed. It was forbidden because it guarded something too vast for careless hands. The warden drifted closer. Its glow brightened, and a new thought pressed gently into his mind: the path waits for you. But the core tests all who walk it. It does not open easily. It asks not what you know, but who you are. Aaron took a deep breath. I am ready. The ground beneath the plain shifted. A circle of light formed, glowing brighter than the ridges around it. The soil thinned into transparency, revealing steps that spiraled downward into glowing depth. Aaron stared at the pathway. It was not carved by tools, but shaped by the world itself, as if the planet had decided to open. The warden's thought returned one last time: walk with stillness. Carry no greed. Only then will the heart allow you through. With that, the figure faded into the air, leaving Aaron alone with the path. He tightened the strap of his pack and stepped forward. The glowing steps hummed beneath his boots as he descended. The air grew cooler, filled with faint echoes like whispers. The walls shimmered with crystal veins that carried light deeper into the earth. As he moved downward, he felt the presence of the wardens above, watching but not following. The trial ahead was his alone. The tunnel curved, and soon he entered a vast cavern. The ceiling glowed with countless crystal strands, hanging like stars. In the center of the cavern stood a wide arch of stone, its surface covered with moving patterns of light. Aaron stepped closer. The arch pulsed, and suddenly visions filled the space before him. He saw explorers from many species stepping into this cavern. They walked forward with eagerness, with greed, with pride. One by one, their lights faded as the arch swallowed them. None returned. Aaron stood still, his heart steady. The arch glowed, waiting. He whispered, I will not come to take. I will come to learn. The light of the arch softened, and the cavern filled with a hum like a heartbeat. The pathway beyond opened, glowing like a river of stars. Aaron knew this was the entrance to the true heart of Vera. The test awaited him, but for the first time, he felt ready. Aaron stepped into the glowing cavern, and the light of the pathway flowed around him like a river of stars. The air hummed softly, and the walls shimmered with crystal threads that stretched high above. Every step he took seemed to echo inside the cavern, carrying a faint vibration that made the ground feel alive. The pathway widened into a vast chamber. Suspended in the air were countless glowing forms, faint outlines of figures that seemed almost human. Some floated upright, others drifted sideways. They shimmered in colors that changed with every pulse of light. Aaron recognized them from the visions the wardens had shown him. These were the explorers who had come before. Their forms were frozen in time, frozen in the moments before they vanished. He stepped closer and felt a wave of emotion washing over him. Fear, regret, sadness, and longing filled the space. The explorers had reached too far. They had wanted to take what they could not hold. Their hearts had carried greed, pride, or impatience, and the world had claimed them. Aaron shivered slightly, but he did not turn away. Instead, he reached out with his mind, touching the echoes gently. He did not push, he did not pull. He only felt. The chamber responded to his presence. The suspended figures shifted slightly, and the light around them softened. The cavern hummed louder, a sound that felt like both a warning and an invitation. Aaron whispered, I do not seek to take. I only seek to understand. Show me what I must learn. The air pulsed again, and the first trial began. The chamber filled with shifting visions. He saw cities rising and falling, stars being born and dying, creatures walking on lands he could not imagine. Each vision carried emotion, lessons of joy, loss, patience, and courage. At first, the weight of it pressed heavily on him. His mind swirled with images, his heart felt the sadness of those who had been lost. Some visions tried to confuse him, showing paths that led nowhere, traps that tempted him to turn back. Aaron paused, closing his eyes. He let himself feel everything without fear. He did not fight the visions, nor did he try to push them away. He accepted them as part of the world, part of the memory that Vera carried. A warmth spread through him, and he realized the chamber had shifted. The illusions no longer pressed him but moved around him, flowing like a gentle current. The warden's presence filled the space not with force, but with guidance. The thoughts came softly, not as questions but as feelings. You see. You feel. You do not resist. You carry more than knowledge, you carry understanding. Aaron opened his eyes. The suspended explorers glowed faintly as if acknowledging him. He felt no fear, only connection. He understood their mistakes, their hopes, their curiosity, and their pride. He did not judge them, but he learned from them. A new light appeared in the chamber, a soft golden glow that pulsed like a heartbeat. It formed a path forward, leading deeper into the cavern. The warden's thoughts came again. You endure what others could not endure. You have passed the first trial. The heart of Vera awaits. Aaron stepped onto the glowing path. Each step felt lighter than the last. The suspended figures seemed to smile in their own way, their light brightening briefly as he passed. The air around him shifted, filled with faint music of wind and crystal. The walls of the cavern shimmered with patterns that moved like living water. He realized the world itself was alive, aware of his steps, watching his heart. He paused at the entrance to the next chamber. The light here was stronger, more intense. It felt alive, almost like it had its own mind. Aaron understood that this was the next trial the core would not open easily. He breathed deeply, steadying himself. The previous trial had been one of memory, of understanding the past. This trial would be of the present, of who he was inside. Aaron walked forward. The light touched him, wrapping around his mind like a gentle current. It showed possibilities, choices, and questions he had not thought to ask. Each image was a test, not of strength, not of speed, but of his heart. He felt emotions rise: fear, doubt, wonder, but he did not fight them. He faced them with patience. He accepted the feelings and let them guide him. With every step, the light pulsed in rhythm with his heartbeat. After what felt like both a moment and an eternity, he reached the center of the chamber. The golden glow formed a circle around him, and a calm presence filled the space. He felt the wardens close, surrounding him without touching, guiding him with their thoughts. A single message came, clear and strong: you have walked with stillness. You have carried no greed. You have embraced the weight of memory and heart. You are ready to see the heart of Vera. Aaron knelt, overwhelmed by both relief and wonder. The trial of memory had tested him not with fear or danger but with understanding. He had faced the lessons of the past and accepted them. He rose, and the path ahead opened wider. The light of the chamber extended, revealing a new corridor lined with glowing crystal veins. The air felt lighter, filled with a quiet energy that promised discovery. Aaron knew that the next step would bring him closer to the core. The world had trusted him enough to let him continue. He felt both humbled and honored. With careful steps, he moved forward into the glowing corridor, ready to meet what awaited him at the heart of Vera. Aaron walked carefully along the glowing corridor, the crystal veins pulsing with gentle light beneath his feet. Each step felt alive, as though the world itself was guiding him towards something greater. The air shimmered softly, carrying warmth and a faint hum that resonated in his chest. At the end of the corridor, he entered a vast chamber. It was unlike anything he had ever seen. The ceiling stretched high above, covered in floating lights that resembled tiny stars. Crystals hung like delicate chandeliers, casting reflections that danced across the walls. In the center of the room floated a radiant sphere, larger than any orb he had imagined, glowing with colors that shifted and flowed. Aaron stopped, his breath caught in awe. The sphere was alive, he realized. Not a simple object, but a being of light and knowledge. Its energy pulsed like a heartbeat, filling the room with warmth and wisdom. He stepped closer, and a thought entered his mind. Welcome, human. You have walked far and endured what others could not. Now you face the heart of Vera. Aaron reached out slowly, unsure if the sphere would allow him near. The moment his fingers hovered above the surface, a flood of visions and feelings entered his mind. He saw galaxies forming, stars dying, and civilizations rising and falling. He felt the joy of discovery, the pain of loss, the patience of creation, and the wisdom of ages. The sphere was not only knowledge. It was life, memory, and experience all at once. It carried the stories of countless beings, some long gone, some never remembered. Its pulse was a reminder that time and life were connected in ways beyond understanding. A new thought entered Aaron's mind, gentle but clear. You may take knowledge, but it tests all who approach. Those who reach with greed or pride are consumed. Only those who carry humility and care may leave with understanding. Aaron felt a quiet fear. He had seen the fate of other explorers and heard the warden's warnings. He closed his eyes for a moment and thought of his purpose. He did not seek glory. He did not seek wealth or power. He had come to learn and to carry what could help others, not himself. He spoke softly, I do not come to take. I come to understand. I will only hold what I can truly carry. The sphere pulsed brighter. Waves of light moved through the chamber, wrapping around him, yet not harming him. Instead, they seemed to measure him, feel him, and recognize his heart. The pulse slowed, then spread, and the sphere spoke again without words. Your choice is true. You are the first to endure the trial and remain without desire for selfish gain. Aaron felt a calm joy, but also deep humility. He realized the world had not only tested his mind but his spirit. The heart of Vera was alive and wise, and it had chosen him. Visions filled the chamber again, but now they were not trials. They were gifts. Aaron saw long-lost sciences, secrets of stars and planets, and ways of understanding energy and matter that he could have never imagined. He saw maps of hidden places, patterns of life, and knowledge of worlds that had disappeared from memory. Yet the sphere did not overwhelm him. He felt he could carry only what his mind and heart could hold, and that was enough. It trusted him to grow with what he could understand, not to be consumed by what he could not. Aaron knelt, awed by the moment. I will carry this carefully, he whispered. For the sake of all who may learn, not for myself alone. The sphere glowed brighter, a soft wave of light spreading across the chamber. A voice, gentle and filled with warmth, filled his mind. You have walked with patience, care, and humility. You will leave as the first living keeper of Vera's truth. Share it wisely, and you will guide your kind toward growth, not ruin. Aaron bowed his head, feeling the weight of responsibility, yet also a quiet pride. He was not stronger than others. He was not more powerful. He was human, and his strength lay in his heart, his curiosity, and his willingness to respect the world and its mysteries. The sphere pulsed one last time, sending a stream of gentle light into his mind. Knowledge and wisdom flowed through him, not as a burden, but as a gift he could understand and use. The path out of the chamber opened as the light receded. Aaron stood, feeling the energy of Vera flowing through him and around him. The world had accepted him, and in doing so, had given him a treasure far greater than he had imagined. As he walked back toward the corridor, he sensed the wardens waiting quietly in the distance. Their presence was no longer a test but a blessing, a recognition of his achievement. The path back to the surface felt lighter, the air softer, and the world welcoming. Aaron knew his journey was far from over. He would leave Vera, return to his people, and share what he had learned. But he would also carry the memory of this world in his heart, a reminder that true strength comes not from power, but from humility, patience, and care. He paused at the exit of the cavern, looking back at the glowing sphere one last time. It pulsed softly, as if wishing him well. Aaron stepped into the light of the surface, ready to face the stars again, carrying the heart of Vera with him. Aaron stepped from the glowing cavern back onto the surface of Vera. The crystal trees glimmered softly in the pale light of the floating islands above. The air was warm and gentle, carrying a faint hum, like a song of the world itself. He paused, letting the beauty of the forbidden planet sink in. He had walked through the trials, faced memories of those who had come before, and touched the heart of the world. Now he understood why it had been called forbidden. It was not dangerous in the way others feared. It was sacred, alive, and wise. Aaron returned to his small research ship, its metal smooth and shining against the soft colors of the ground. As he prepared for departure, he felt the presence of the wardens one last time. Their light shimmered above the forest, gentle and approving. A thought entered his mind: you are the first to endure and return. You are the first to carry the heart of Vera without desire for selfish gain. He smiled softly. I will honor it, he said aloud, his voice steady and filled with quiet determination. The ship lifted into the sky, leaving the glowing plains behind. As he rose above the planet, the floating islands drifted slowly beneath him, their shadows painting the forests. The world looked peaceful, untouched, and timeless. He knew that it would continue to watch and guide those who came after, but now it had also trusted him. Aaron activated the engines and set a course for the nearest human outpost. The ship hummed to life, powered by a strange energy that had repaired itself while he was on the surface. He realized that Vera had not only tested him, it had helped him in subtle ways, preparing him to leave safely. During the journey, Aaron opened the recorder he had carried. He began to speak softly, documenting everything he had experienced. He spoke of the glowing forests, the floating islands, the crystal veins, and the wardens. He described the visions, the trials, and the heart of Vera. He spoke of the choice he had made to seek understanding rather than power, to carry wisdom with care. He knew that this record would be more than science or exploration. It would be a story of humanity, of what humans could achieve when they combined curiosity, courage, and humility. Days passed as he traveled through empty space. Stars passed by, distant and silent, yet somehow welcoming. The weight of the knowledge he carried was not heavy, but it filled him with purpose. He thought of the explorers who had come before, those whose forms had floated in the trial chamber, and he felt gratitude. Their mistakes had guided him. Their curiosity had led him to this moment. Finally, the lights of the outpost appeared ahead. Humans had built a small station on a planet near the edges of known space. Aaron guided the ship down, the glow of Vera's energy still present in his mind. As he landed, he felt the eyes of others upon him: scientists, pilots, and explorers. They knew he had been somewhere extraordinary. Aaron stepped out of the ship, carrying the recorder and the memory of the world he had touched. The warden's presence still lingered in his heart, reminding him that he was not the same human who had stepped onto Vera. He was a keeper, a messenger, and a learner. He gathered the scientists and began to share what he had learned. He spoke of the wardens and the heart of Vera. He spoke of the trials and the choice he had made to carry only what he could truly understand. The room was silent, filled with awe. No one interrupted. Every eye followed him, and every mind tried to imagine a world that lived, breathed, and tested those who walked upon it. When he finished, a scientist asked, "Why did you survive when no one else did?" Aaron smiled gently. "I listened. I accepted what I saw and felt. I did not come to take. I came to understand. That is the difference." The words spread quickly through the human colonies. Aaron became a symbol, a reminder that humanity could face the unknown and grow from it. Other species began to take notice. The stories told of humans who could endure what others could not through strength, but through heart and wisdom. Aaron returned to his ship, looking once more at the stars. Vero was out there, hidden, glowing, and alive. He had been chosen to carry its wisdom, and he would do so with care. The memory of the wardens, the heart of the world, and the lessons of the trials would remain with him forever. As he set a new course for distant planets, Aaron understood something more profound than any star chart or map could show. Humanity had the power to face the forbidden, not with fear, but with understanding. The galaxy was vast, full of wonders and mysteries, and humans could step into it with courage, respect, and curiosity. He smiled to himself. A human had walked on a forbidden world and returned. A human had carried its heart and wisdom, not for himself, but for all. And in that moment, Aaron knew that humanity's journey among the stars was only beginning.